It says starting. Okay, now it says we're live. I set this broadcast so that I can publish it fully later with whatever link once it's done. So to be able to do that.
I won't even try to live cast it.
Well, I just did my first Facebook Live the other day when I was at the U2 concert. I've never had anything worthwhile to live cast, and then when I thought, well, I'm at a U2 concert, let's see if I can pull that off. So I tried it out.
Let's just
I had a few people
photos content
later for broadcasting the concert, a good chunk of the concert while I was there.
There was a lady in a Lexus SUV behind me yesterday that was live casting her drive, and she nearly rear-ended me like twice, and then somebody cut her off, and she's like doing this to the camera and then doing that and stuff. And it's just like can you believe these people? Like it's just like.
Yeah, you're gonna be Yeah, you'll be part of a viral video on Facebook. On the poor end though. So what you been up to?
Back to work, I guess. It feels like we just talked not too long ago, but there's been I don't know. I decided to start doing a whole bunch of promotion with Poop. Finally kicking that into gear. It got into its first bookstore, so I was all excited about that. And really trying to take things to the next level. Like, I guess that's the theme right now.
Right.
Because, Amazon's been a tough mistress lately, and really kind of getting into the ads and getting into copy and keywords and still putting out new content and interfacing with your email list and your readers and all that good stuff. Working on a sequel to Nuts.
Yeah, I've seen the images you've been posting on Facebook. That's a good idea. I like how you kind of like a work in progress kind of thing.
Every single image. That's Procreate is the name of the program. It's a drawing program for iPad, and it doesn't record in real. Well, you can actually live cast with it and record video that way. But it's only on Periscope, and I don't know who uses Periscope yet.
Not anymore.
And then it will export a video that's like those time-lapse videos. Mm-hmm. And they're about 30 seconds to a minute, so I've just been doing that. And I actually have help from a comic book artist that's kind of doing the spot fill coloring behind as I do this, and I'll go back in and put another layer of color on top of that. So just trying to figure out ways of like making a really quality product, and also trying to take some of the intense work off of it.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. I'm not an illustrator, so I couldn't imagine having to write and to draw all at the same time. I put out I think I put out one book, like one Kindle book that's free now, and I drew the cover, and it's quite clear that I drew the cover. And I kind of thought, well, let's don't waste time learning how to do this right now. So I'm always jealous of people that can do both things.
I still have a lot of room to grow as both a writer and an illustrator. That's another thing too. I landed a guest blog article on a website to kind of promote Poop, but they didn't want to review the book. They wanted something that would help teachers, and so I'm like, okay, well, let's try to pretend to be a teacher for a minute. And the topic for the conversation, the question and answer for the class was basically maturity, and like what are some of the hallmarks of maturity, and trying to take kind of this abstract concept and make it more concrete. And one of the things was that you're always learning,
right,
and developing, and that you, like, being an adult is understanding that you're never set in place and you're never as good as you can be. Which
growth
just
mindset is what the current buzzword is in education. Is called that a growth mindset.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Yeah, as opposed to a fixed mindset, trying to teach students instead of saying, "Oh, I'm bad at math," or "I'm stupid," or whatever. You can say, "Well, you know, that's a fixed mindset. You can say, well, I don't understand, you know, multiplication right now, but I can get better at it. I don't understand long division, but if I work at it, I can get better at it. So that's kind of what the current buzzword is in education right now.
I like that. It's one of the few buzzwords that seems to have an impact. Dynamism. Are we taking a sip here?
Right.
But you stopped teaching.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, it was a time. It was time. I mean, teaching is hard, and I'm trying to figure out like what can I say that's appropriate on a hangout. Yeah, my wife and I said, I've been doing this for 12 years, and let's try something else for a while. I mean, and so I have money coming in from other avenues, and so we just got, what can I say? So we were in a position where we were able to try for a while. But in terms of teaching, and if any teacher sees this, or whenever you talk to teachers, you know, teaching just gets harder and harder. I've been doing it for 12 years, and I just never felt like, I always felt new every year. Like I never felt, at some points in my career, and certainly recently, because I never felt, you know, I've been doing it for 12 years. I should have some sort of level of assuredness. And then from talking with other teachers, they were feeling the same thing, because every year the expectation for teachers is higher and higher and higher, and yet, you know, the pay stays the same, that kind of thing. And so after a while, my wife and I just kind of began to think, well, what are some other things we can try? And I have some income coming in. I have a fair amount of income coming in on the side, and so not enough from Amazon sales, but that's what we're trying right now, is that if I can have some time to produce more content and to produce more books, we're going to give that a go for a while. And so that's what we're trying right now. I'm going to try and share a website here. Let's see if I can do it. What I want to share, one way that, let me click on something, application window. Let me see. All right, present to everyone. All right, can you see that website? Yes, Steemit. That's a website I got on about a year ago, and it's done in cryptocurrencies, and it'll pay out. It pays you money. And let me see if I can. It's not sharing it in. I'm going to stop it. And I'm going to come. Whoops. Yeah. All right. Let me click on over to my page, and I'm going to show some of the things. And this is because I wanted to share this with you, because this is another. Because I remember you making a comment on one of your email lists about, you know, income and that kind of thing. This, let me see. Yeah, we're all there. Let me scroll down a little bit here. Let me share the page now. Let me see if I can share the page. I'm all impressed that I can share a page now. All right. All right. So what I'm sharing right now is my own blog on Steemit. Whoops. Let me present to everybody. All right. That page right there is my own, what I've been doing is my own blog. And what you'll see is what I'd been doing was serializing, posting chapter by chapter, one of my Dolben School books. I've done it for actually all three. And I get paid out. I get paid on every chapter. So looking up here at the top, you'll see like chapter 17. I got paid approximately $30 for that, for just posting that page, for just posting that one chapter. So last summer was when I was introduced to it. It's only been up for a year. A friend of mine, a Facebook friend of mine that I just know through, let me stop sharing that. A Facebook friend of mine started, she showed it to me, and the page has been, the website's been around for a little over a year. And I I joined last June, so just about a year now, and it was a new site, and it's done in cryptocurrencies, which is like Bitcoin. Long story short, on the Steemit website, you get paid in these tokens called Steem, and then you can sell those Steem tokens for Bitcoin, which you can then sell for actual US dollars. And last July, I cashed out about $4,000.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and I almost didn't come back to teaching this past year. I'm going to share that screenshot again. I almost didn't come back. I almost resigned last summer. And let me see if I can present everyone. All right. I almost resigned last summer because of the amount of money I'd made on it. And I post a lot of different things. You see up here at the top, I just it says buying the classics with my first purchase from BitPay card. All I did was I went to this, I had learned all about Bitcoin, and I just got a prepaid debit card recently where I could put my earnings onto this debit card. And so I went to Target with my daughter, and we bought Bambi and Finding Dory and a couple of other things. And I'm going to get, and I guess I'll get paid in that in a couple of days. I got paid, or I will get paid about $10 to $12 just for posting that.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh.
And what
no way this is sustainable.
I mean, I think it's great for artists and for somebody like you. What I do is I post photography on there as well. So here, let me show. Let me go through. I'm going to click through.
I just signed up, by the way, which and it's like we've sent you a confirmation email, and we'll get to you when we get to you. And it's like,
yeah, I'm going to make sure I don't. When I signed up a year ago, I don't remember having this long of a wait to get in, but apparently because it's gotten popular now, it takes about 24 hours, is my understanding, to get through and to get in. And then once you're signed up, let me know. And then what I can do is, the way it works, there's something called Steam Power, which is like a savings account. And what that allows you to do is, you have, the more Steam Power you have, the more of these tokens you have, the more you can influence the platform. Or like say when you come on and you post something, I can pay you about the amount of money, the amount of power I have currently on the system. If I were to upvote your, like it's kind of like a like on Facebook, but I would upvote you on Steemit. I would upvote your post, and right now I could automatically give you about $2. And then if other people, yeah, it's amazing. But it is very cool. It is very cool. I think you would do amazing on it. And let me see. I'm going to click through this. I'm going to share a picture here.
It reminds me of something, a cross between a red light district and Chuck E. Cheese's. So
it's still new. There are some great people on there. There are actually a couple of self-publishers on there that do it. A woman named Lita Blake. She writes stuff I don't read, but I think I recognized the name. Let me see if I can share this.
I mean, that would be an interesting place to just put up helpful tutorials and things.
Yeah. Like, a lot of people do that. I just, like, the webcam I'm using right now is brand new, and that's kind of my idea, is to be able to share out tutorials on it too. So let's see, let me get it and present to everyone. All right, so what I'm showing you right here, this is a photograph that I pulled off my Facebook page. And you can see down there at the bottom, $10. Currently, right now, it'll pay out about $10.49. I don't
understand this.
I will get about 75% of that. And then based on exchange rates and the way the system works, I'll make probably about $7.50 to $10 just by sharing that one photograph. Let me click through and show some of the other more intense stuff. let me see this. I don't ever. You click on the trending page. Just kind of show you what it looks like.
Once politics gets into this, it's going to be completely useless.
The politics typically does tend to skew libertarian, right. You will see more people in moderate to left, but you can also you can find the people that you support.
But if it's anything like Reddit, it's going to be like, here's a picture from Arrested Development. Like, remember how funny it was? And everybody's like, here's $1,000. Like,
yeah, well, it's not. Let's share this. Let me see. Let's see. I'm just going to share this front page right here. This is what's called the trending page, and because the price of Steam has gone back up recently, the trending pages can pay out extraordinary amounts. And so what you'll see right here, these head posts right now are now making $1,000, $1,500 or so. One right here is making a couple of thousand. A lot of these people they're popular on the site. They they've earned a lot of tokens, the Steam power. And you will notice that a lot of these trending articles currently have a lot to do in the cryptocurrency world. Like at least the biggest payout ones have stuff to do in the cryptocurrency world. You're not required necessarily to write in the cryptocurrency world. I've never hit the trending page. I think I had one post about a year ago when I first started that hit $1,000 because I was talking about a lot of the money I had made on Steemit. Let me show one other page here too. Let's go to let's talk about photography. Yeah, I know it's extraordinary. When I've introduced it to other people, what they don't understand is you don't put in your own money. You don't put in any money. You can take US dollars, buy Bitcoin, and then buy influence. That's not required. Let me share this out. This is the trending page on the photography tag that I'm going to share here. And so here, you will get, so somebody here did a whole post on a trip to some ancient temples, and they're earning currently right now about $800, $900. They won't earn that full. That'll be about 3/4 of that, but they'll make a good payout on that. This person here writes a lot on food. She's almost like a food blogger. Think like on Instagram, where people there. I've heard of a lot of people are used to, are still making money that way. This post currently right now is earning that person about $500. And so to be able to do that, so you don't have to write about cryptocurrency to make, to do really well. Now these people, of course, like any social network, have put their time in and have a lot of followers and put out good content on a regular basis. But that's what, so there are other ways of doing it. So overall, yeah, you will see some politics that you might not agree with, but at the same time, you can find people with politics that you agree with.
I was more or less talking about like that you get to a point where you just say like a name and you either get a ton of money or a ton of money taken away, and it just I basically only think in terms of Simpsons references. So
right. But, I mean, I'm not on Reddit a lot, so I'm not as familiar with it. I mean, I understand it. My experience of it has been is that I've got my own followers. I've got about 500 followers right now, and so I post I post my writing. I've literally serialized 3 of my books and made a lot of money that way. So I would post my middle grade books chapter by chapter, and would make, wouldn't make thousands of dollars on a chapter, but when you add up 20 chapters and you make $20 to $50 a chapter, you know, that adds up. And then there are like little photography contests that you can do that I would participate in, and I could make $10 to $20. Some people make a lot more. There's got to be some art competitions, you know, that would be on there that you could, you know, you would probably do well in, and just share that. You could also share, like you said, your tutorials and those sorts of things. But I recommend Steemit for anybody that, like you, is a prolific content creator. Like anything, there's no guarantee that you're going to make, you know, thousands of dollars, but for someone like you that has a lot of content and creates a lot, it's a very, very good revenue stream, is what I've tried to explain to people. And that's one of my biggest revenue streams right now, which has allowed me to resign from teaching.
That's
calm.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I have money coming in from the books. I have the Steemit coming in. I have a couple other investments in the cryptocurrency world coming in. So, and I'll admit, you know, I've put my name in for other jobs, but for right now, if nothing comes out, you know, we're fine right now. But I at least wanted to introduce Steemit to you, because I think that would be an excellent.
And everybody watching.
Well, I mean, and you know, but it would be a great revenue. I tend to think of it in terms of like just a revenue source. I also think I've met a lot of good people on there as well. You know, but I still participate in Facebook. I still participate a little bit in Twitter. But Steemit has changed the equation of what I can do. A friend of mine, another writer friend, what he discovered, kind of similar thing with me, is that if he would post his work in progress on Steemit, that was almost like a way to earn extra cash to help prepare getting the book ready. In fact, the last book I just published back in March or April, Irving Williams and the Mystery of the Lighthouse Ghost, was originally blogged as I did it on Steemit. I had run out of content ideas, and so I literally just kind of challenged myself. I said, can I write a book, a chapter book, from beginning to end without planning it out and see what comes up? And so that's what I did. And that actually generated some more income. And then what happened is that once the book was finished, yeah, I went back and I edited it. I changed a couple of things. My editor, because I had written it as a series of blog posts, once she read it, she noticed a couple of timeline mistakes and some other one or two stories inconsistencies, which I was then able to adjust in the editing process. But then it came out again a few months later. You know, once I had that fixed, I could then put it out on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. That was how that handled. And then what I discovered was that because I was posting it as I was doing it, I was generating cash that could then go toward the cover design and the editing.
And do a post.
The thing I learned is that I don't know if I like writing a book from beginning to end without, you know, I'm writing the fourth Dolben book, and it's like 35,000 words right now. And it's written all over the place. I wrote the ending first because I knew where I needed to go. Then I wrote the beginning because it matched up with the end of book 3. And so I had the beginning and I have the middle of the book, and now I'm working to get from the beginning to the end of the book. That doesn't necessarily flow well for a blog, you know, kind of thing. Yeah. But it's a good way. But it's just kind of it's been really cool, and it's been a blessing because being able to use it, you know, is a good solid additional revenue stream, just in the way, because for content creators, what I did was that with the I took the two. Whoops, my computer logging up. All right, there we are. All right, I'm back. What I noticed was what I did was I took the last two Dolben books out of Kindle the exclusivity out of Kindle. I mean, they're still available on Kindle, but I took them out of Kindle Unlimited just so big bad Amazon wouldn't, track me down. And then I put them on Steemit. That's when I started serializing them and just publishing them one by one, chapter by chapter. And then within those blog posts, I would give the link for Amazon within those blog posts, and I would have people tell me, well, we bought the book, where because it would be easier for people to read on a Kindle than as opposed to a blog. And I got, and it works. I mean, I had like I said, I was just posting book 3, and a guy went back and he said, well, we downloaded book 1 and we're reading it now, and my girls love it. And so that's been one of the other things. So yeah, but I would recommend once you get on there, shoot me an email with your account name, and I'll start upvoting you and following you and giving you a couple of bucks.
No, that would. There's a lot of interesting. It's amazing how many ideas I've had just sitting there listening to you. Yeah. There's a middle grade novel that I've been working on that I could see doing that technique of one at a time, because I don't know how else to deal with it. And also just releasing a couple of there's an unreleased book that I finished that is more of like a middle grade short story that I'd probably put up there. It was actually part of a collection for children's book authors. We were all going to get together and contribute. Right. I had everything together. I had the book all formatted and stuff, and the other people in the group, basically they had questions about my story, and it dissolved because of that. So I was like, okay, so that's I see how it is. So maybe it was a bit too edgy, I guess. That's been something that's come up lately. That it's like some people consider me to be very wholesome, and other people consider me to be very edgy. So I don't know where that leaves me, but.
I mean, looking at the 8 books I've written, I mean, I'm kind of all over the place. My first book was a picture book for first graders, and then The Mystery of the Lighthouse Ghost. When I started writing it, I was like, I wasn't even sure if am I writing an actual ghost story or am I writing a Scooby-Doo novel. I think I'm about midway through. I decided I think I'm going to write a Scooby-Doo novel. I'm not sure yet if I'm willing to go all Stephen King on everybody yet. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think it's good to be able to do a couple of different things.
Yeah, I don't know what the point is of creating art if you don't have some sort of reaction to it. Mm-hmm. And I keep running my head into the wall against this one particular group of people that I like to call them the Tea Party readers. Not the political party, but like there's a certain amount of parents that believe that every children's book should be about tea parties. And no conflict resolution. It's Timmy came over for tea, they had tea, Timmy left. The end. And I'm like, there's a place for that. I mean, there's certainly an audience for that, and there's a need for that kind of comfort and reassurance, but I don't think that gives kids any kind of tools to work with their life. Right. And so that's me, though. So.
Well, I remember, I remember the last Dolman book that I put out, The Return of the Professor. I had I put it out to my newsletter, and I had somebody, read one of the early advanced copies, and he clearly had not read the first 2. And not only had he not read the first 2, he didn't read the description. He didn't even look at the cover of the first 2, because I got back this angry email about how violent it was, that there was an explosion at the school. And I'm like, yes, there's an explosion at the school. That's on the cover of book 2. And I'm like, all right, so it's just not for you, and took him off the list.
I'm happy that you finally got one of those. Every time that I've done one of those email blast chain early review things, like for nuts and for poop, I had at least one person came back saying like, this is not what I like, this is not what I expected, like, you know, I'm not going to leave a review or remove me from this and stuff. And it's just like, okay, you know, there's no such thing as a perfect book, perfect movie. And I think that's because there's no perfect audience either. You can't hit it 100% of the time. So you just go, okie dokie.
Well, the way I've learned to think about it is that everybody's an editor, you know, and this guy that had read, you know, my book and the people that had read your books, as an editor, they wouldn't take it into their bookshop. But on the flip side, for book 3, one of the best reviews I had ever gotten was from somebody in England. And of course, I don't know anybody in England. But whereas I had this one person complaining that the book was too violent, I had somebody in England complain that that the book ended on a right cliffhanger, and his complaint was is that I don't have enough books out, which is a wonderful complaint to have. I'm not complaining it, but it's just kind of like, you know, when we as content creators and humans, when we hear a negative response, we typically tend to hear that more than the positive responses. So like when you're hearing the you know, those people that don't like, they didn't like nuts or they didn't like poop, which that's a great sentence. You know, but there are other people that love it, you know, but, you know, I'm with you. You know, we typically tend to hear the not so positive reviews the loudest, almost, in some ways. That's almost kind of the way I'm thinking about it.
It's instinctual, and it's a little bit of confirmation bias too, because if we're also criticizing ourselves, right, and we're expecting like that if people agree with us or like it or something, then they're not giving us the whole truth, or, you know, they must be as self-deceived as we are. And I also think it even goes to like a primal level where you have to be more alert of the bad things than the good things.
Right.
So you're like, oh, that fruit is delicious, which if you miss fruit on a tree, oh well, there's more fruit. But if you miss the tiger, like you only get one shot at that. Like, so
that's exactly right. I read the same thing. That's exactly right. We tend to hear that, you know, when somebody doesn't like our book, that's like the equivalent, there's a tiger over there, and I'm like, no, it's just somebody just didn't like your book.
People are also, I don't know, I've been trying to help my parents with their Facebook page for their business, and it's just extraordinary how cruel people can be online now.
Yeah.
And for very bizarre reasons, like they didn't pick up the phone whenever I called. They weren't open on the day that I wanted them to. Like, let's do a 0-star review and just destroy the rating and just lambaste them, screaming at the top of their class. And, you know, you'll have like maybe you're more likely to get a negative review than a positive review.
Right.
Because a positive review is expected. You're expected to do something good, while negative is unexpected. And so in order to get those positive reviews, you have to like go above and beyond what their expectations are, which is hard to do for anything.
Right.
And the higher level you get, the harder it is to exceed those expectations. It's like giving a huge tip whenever you go to a really expensive restaurant. Like, right, of course it's going to be good. I just paid $100 for a steak.
I agree. But yeah, with Steemit, I think for you, I can't wait to see you on there. I think that it could change your business, because what it has done for me is it takes the anxiety off the Amazon sales. It just brings in another source of income of like what you're creating, and so it takes the stress off of doing the ads and those sorts of things. For me, because I, you know, right now have stepped away from teaching, what I'm hoping is to have more time. The purpose of this is to have more time to put into the publishing business, because like I said, I put out Irving Williams back in, you know, March, April. Really did not promote it that much. You know, it's only gotten one review, a good review, but it's gotten one, and the people that read it on Steemit loved it, but I just have not put it out on Facebook as much. I haven't done ads as much with it on Facebook or on Amazon, but I'm hoping now that I'll be able to have more time, because that's the last couple of years as a 5th grade teacher. Part of the reason why I haven't been able to do Hangouts with you or podcasts with you is simply just the amount of time that teaching takes every year. You know, I was noticing this past year I was averaging 55 hours a week. And when you got 55 hours a week on a job, you know, it gets harder and harder to be able to put in something on the side.
And you have a family.
Well. So I'm hoping that part of, you know, I'll be able to have more time to put into this and get out more. I need to get Dolben 4 out. It's been sitting on the computer now for a while. And that was the other thing. I literally had kids, because what I would do at my old school, you know, my books were in the school library. And one of the things I will miss about teaching is that I got immediate feedback from my audience. And I remember, I wasn't even a kid in my room, but every time his class would pass me and I'm waiting in the hallway for my class, he would say, "Mr. Toad, do you ever know the Dolben School book coming?" I was like, it's 35,000 words. I got to write lesson plans and grade your papers. You know, it's coming. It's coming.
Get a personified guilt complex. I like it.
But I had to be thankful for that feedback, you know, I mean, and to be in that position that a lot of writers don't have, to have kids come up and say, you know, when are you going to get this book done? And even because, you know, I worked at the schools, I occasionally signed autographs, and that the kids would buy my books. They either bought them for Christmas or they bought them. I had 1 or 2 kids buy them at the start of last school year. Once they knew that they had me, they bought a couple, and I got to sign them on the first day of school. You know, who gets to do that?
It's the new Apple. Like, right?
I was very lucky to have that.
Just as
but right now, I'm throwing that out the window, so I'm not going to have that in the next year or so.
No.
So you got Nuts. So the next book is what's the name of the? Is it just Nuts 2, or what's the name of that?
Nuts 2. The subtitle is Wally's Talent, and it's basically about an 8-year-old having an existential crisis about what his talent is about. Like what his talent is. He fumbles in the big game, and his team loses because of it, and he just goes on this like just self-hatred thing of I'm good at nothing, I'll never be good at anything. And the other characters kind of come in and give their opinions and stuff, and he has to come to that realization that, you know, like we said at the beginning, you always have to get better. You always are trying to get better. And it's not American Idol. Like, nobody picks you up, or it's not a contest. It's just a continual progression. And what's interesting is that with Nuts, I did actually created an animation show Bible. So I have some friends that were trying to get some meetings with actually turning it into like a cartoon show.
Wonderful.
And thank you. And I kind of pitched it as SpongeBob crossed with Arthur, because that's kind of how the tone is. And so we did the whole character, like the details of the characters, like really did a lot more flesh out of what the town looks like, the world looks like. The first book, kind of, they all just had human stuff, and the second book, and with the TV series, it's more like Flintstones or Cars, where the world is reactive to the main characters. So everything is tree based, everything is nut based. Like they have awesome. So, you know, instead of iPhones, they have like nut phones or something like that. And so that really helped it. Like, and in fact, the game that Wally plays at the beginning that he fumbles, it's called Nutball, but it's vertical football. So he's like, they're scurrying up and down the tree, and the goalposts are right next to each other. So that's where the game comes in. You have to, do you drop down and then go over and go back up, or do you try to like go risking that they would grab the ball and go into their own goal? And I thought like that was like suddenly it stops feeling like a conversation. It starts feeling like a real world, and I'm very happy with it. And the other thing I was trying to get at was when I wrote some of the episodes, because you have to do that with the pitch. You have to be like, here's what the actual scripts look like. And while the books are very conversational based, the TV show is very action based and very kind of zany. And I thought about what that meant, and I just kind of figured that it's a difference of mediums. Like, it's talking heads on television aren't as interesting as they are in books.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm getting feedback right now from Nuts 2 that they're happy with it. People like it. They actually want to see books focusing on other characters, particularly Chestnut,
Right.
Is, the character with autism. he's kind of becoming my favorite too, because he's just like his worldview is just awesome. Like, and so I never even considered that Wally might be the most annoying character in the entire thing, and he's supposed to be the normal one. But yeah, I might do a Nuts 3 sooner rather than later. The first book just came off of a very successful, what was it called, BookBub promotion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought I saw it on BookBub.
Yeah, BookBub is such a weird thing. I have people writing to me like, "How do you get BookBub promos?" I'm like, I have no idea. Just keep applying. Like,
I'm button 2.
yeah, I know I had a friend of mine that he's published with Penguin, and he's like, "How did you get this? I need to do it." I'm like, "Well, you might want to run it by Penguin first and see if you're allowed to give away books." But yeah, I've really enjoyed just kind of the character development and really fleshing out all of the characters and the scenarios. I wish I could, if I could. Can I screen share? Is that possible?
If you move your mouse over to, I'm looking at the left, there should be something there. You should see like a green square with a white arrow in it. Do you see that? Does that appear? It might be only on mine because I'm the one that started the Hangout.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Yeah, if you move your mouse over to the left or right side of your, on my screen, it's left.
Okay, let me single page. Single page. Okay. One second. I apologize.
No problem.
Okay, here we go. I wanted to get the full spread version of it. Okay,
and then once you share at the top, there should be a note saying "share with everybody" or something like that.
Your entire screen? Share. I have no choice since it's.
Okay. No, not on the there. All right, I see something now. Yeah,
okay,
I can see it now. Now I see it.
Yeah, I use the cover from the book as the main cover for the pitch, but this is what a show Bible looks like, if anybody wonders.
That's awesome.
I worked with a background illustrator, and actually because I was busy with a project at the time, I actually had another artist redraw my characters, so you can see Wally down there. So it's an explanation of the town. It goes through all of the characters, what some of the traits are. And I don't know. I'm really proud of this thing. I just see an error right there with Chestnut's spacing. And then just kind of like the dynamics of how the family works, and very proud of so this is what I was talking about with Squirrel Society, where it's a small town. We had setups with like the locations, the school. This is Grandma's house. Other characters which have not appeared in the books yet, but we kind of have to have. We decided to make Wally's best friend actually female, which is very unusual for a third grader. And then kind of give Miss Coconut, which is Wally's teacher, and Pumpkin, which is actually his dad's boss, and Sunflower, who is Mom's agent. So, and then we have the sample episodes and stuff. And the first one that I wrote out was Babysitting Grandma, which is actually about, how do I turn off screen sharing now? Stop sharing, here we go. Which is Wally wants to be left alone and babysit his sister, but his mom insists that they're watched by Grandma. And Grandma, you think she's having an Alzheimer's episode, but she's actually faking it. She pretends to be a 4-year-old child, and Wally now has to be an adult and try to placate her whenever she goes out. She just throws tantrums. So it's a very different pace from the novels and stuff. But I don't know. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it so far. I don't know why I just shared all that with you. I'm just excited.
Well, for anybody that's watching this, what I love about it is what you're sharing really is that we're not really necessarily in the book business. We're in the IP business. We're in the intellectual property business.
Yep.
And so like you have taken, you take these characters and yeah, they first come out in as a book, but then you can also turn that same idea into a television show. My students used to keep asking, when is Dolben going to come out, as a movie? And I'm like, I have my pitch with Spielberg over the summer. Let's get that done. And so for anybody, when I hear what I love about what you're doing is that you're creating a book. You're also potentially creating a television show. You could also create an audio book from it.
Oh, Poop is getting an audio book.
What?
Poop is getting an audio book.
Oh, Poop is getting, yeah, and that's the thing. When I talk with other people, I'm like, one of the things we need to learn, and I just haven't had enough. I've got one audio book out. Is that every time you create a story, it can be a Kindle book, it can be a paperback, it can be a hardback, it can be an audio book, and then what you're doing, taking it even further, potentially turning it into a television show. I met some people. I went up to speak in New Jersey back in March at another school, and some of the guys I met there, one of those guys actually, he sells his characters to games because he writes a lot of like monster, like Godzilla, King Kong type stories. There's an actual term for it. I don't remember the name of it right now. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. And he got connected, and so he licensed some of his characters for a game, and that's what you're doing. Is that hopefully you're licensing your characters as a television show, and so that's the beauty of what. One of the nice things of what we do is that when content creators need to start thinking, well, I didn't just make a book. I can make, I can make a Kindle book. It becomes a Kindle book, a paperback, a hardback. It needs to become an audio book. It can be, and then you just start getting creative. What else can it? How else can you slice the pie? Is what I've read. And you've created another pie slice out of nuts by doing that. And the beauty of what you have, if you're able to pull this off. You have so much content. You would have now this whole treasure trove of content that you could turn into TV shows or audiobooks or that sort of thing.
That was actually the original pitch, and going back to constant improvement and failure and getting better and stuff, I was working with a producer at the time, and I'm just getting audio distortion. I was working with a producer at the time that was helping me with these, because he sells television shows for a living, and he was like helping me create the pitch Bible. And the original idea was the AJ Cosmo show, so it would be each episode was based off of one of the different books and things. And the show pitch, the Bible, it was absolutely awful. And I remember turning it in, and he was just like, "What is this? I can't work with this. Like this is awful." And he was in a really bad mood that day, but it was an incredibly humbling and learning experience, because I had kind of come in there being like, "Oh, I have all these sales numbers and stuff. I have all this stuff that I've done. I can." Was it Judy? I want to say Judy Garland. I don't know if that's right, but she just has a new show on Netflix, and I just he was like, "Where are the characters? Where are the stories? Where are the settings? Like, all you have is here are book covers." And I was like, "Right, okay." So that was, and then I went home with my tail between my legs, and then rewrote, and the Nuts Show Bible came out of that, and that blew him out of the water. So we're kind of waiting. The big animation conference, I think, is in August, September of this year. And so we're kind of waiting to go around that. And you literally just go around booths, and you're like, "This is what I have. That's awesome. I like it."
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I mean, let me ask you, when you did the first show Bible, had he told you how to create a show Bible? Had you shown us a show Bible?
he actually gave me this, which is from Nine Story. I don't know if I just broke an NDA or something by showing that, maybe. He gave me that to go off of, and honestly, at first I kind of did the layout, kind of did it. I was arrogant. I was arrogant, like that's one of the lessons that I had to learn from it. But then in the remake and in the Nuts version, I used it as like everything just down to the letter. Like they're even the same length. They have the same page count. The script is the same length as that script. So really just as much of a template as I could based off of it. But going back to what you're saying about when I was in college, I had friends that were painters, and they used to talk about this concept of using the entire goat. Mm-hmm. And where back before there were art stores, if you wanted a canvas, you had to get the linen, but the linen had to be prepared. So how do you prepare that? You use glue. What's the best glue? It comes from the fat between animal skin. So the concept evolved where every part of a goat could be used as an ingredient for making a painting.
Oh, wow.
Like you burn the bones, and you get you not only get glue for the wood frame, you also get charcoal, which can use as the underpainting. So you use the fur for the hair for brushes, all that thing. So I think in the same sort of concept, we can do this for our books, where you can put up chapter by chapter of the middle grade novel on Steemit. You can write blog posts. You can share it on Facebook for advertisement. You can do a blogcast about what you're working on, and do like little videos of it at the same time, which are also tutorials, which you then lead into the audiobook and transition over into a print version of it, and special edition and stuff. Like, one of the projects I would like to do is to readdress Monster Ate My Socks and add a whole bunch of illustrations to it, and re-release it as a hardcover printed book through Ingram Sparks or something, because they can do hardcovers now. And the one thing that I'm still questioning about is I specifically designed that book so that the children were not illustrated. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't want to draw kids at that point, and B, because I wanted whatever child was reading it to envision themselves, whether it be a boy or a girl, or no matter the race, ethnicity. Right. And one of the questions I've been asked with school visits is like, why are there no pictures of kids in it? And I'm like, because I don't want to lock it down as a Caucasian black-haired child. Like, that's
interesting feedback. Yeah.
So I don't know, but there is always this kind of progress of content and new stuff that you can do with it, and new ways of doing with it. And I've repurposed books like Little Star, books that were stolen online, and every week, Martin, something else is pirated on a Chinese website. And I get these little email notifications, and I'm like, I don't know what to do about this. So then they pointed out, like, it's obvious that Amazon's DRM protection is completely worthless, because all of my books, all my books have that on there. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's just
I've never opted to have the DRM. I haven't looked, and I'm obviously not as popular as you are, but I noticed. I have noticed one or two of my books being pirated. I typically tend to take the theory that it's almost like free advertisement. Because it's going to be out anyway, and the people that I want to buy my books they aren't going to be the people that, if they can't afford or take the time to buy a 99 cents or a $2.99, or my most expensive book being $3.99 Kindle book, is that really somebody that I want as a reader if they're going to be that nitpicky?
I'm on both sides of the fence. I agree and I disagree. Whenever I was younger, I used Napster, and then I changed my ways. But everybody was using Napster and LimeWire. And once you try to start make a living as a creative, then you kind of realize, okay, you shouldn't steal this stuff because it does actually have an effect. And the only thing that has really upset me are the sites that say that they're libraries, or that the author is still getting paid, But the one that got me the most was that Little Star was being pirated and it had a virus in it. So that to me was like really just on the lowest level of what people do. And so my solution to that again was to pull the book back, remake it, and put it back out there as if that's for signing up for my email list. You get that book now. And so that book has a lot more exposure than it used to, and also hopefully it prevents people from getting a virus or something with it. But almost all of the books that I pulled off of Amazon are now on pirate sites, which I think is kind of interesting. And that's also content that I can bring back out of the vault at some point, if ever. Schmoopy, the Schmoopy was the one that just got pirated. I got an email about that, and I don't even know if anybody read the Schmoopy. It's like it's all about being completely depressed and sad, and like all these things try to cheer up the Schmoopy, but just trying to cheer him up makes it worse. So the only thing that ends up cheering him up are these pair of goth children that just talk about how horrible life is with him, and suddenly he feels better, because that's actually what he needed, was somebody to be like, you know what, you're right, like that's like life is hard.
Well, yeah, you make me want to go check my. I've never gotten an email from Amazon telling me that my stuff's been pirated. I did discover one time on YouTube, like it was almost like an AI or a bot had taken one of the second Kevin book I'd written, and they had taken and they made a video out of the cover and some of the interior shots, and then used the copy I had written on the book, and then that became the voiceover, and it was clearly a computer voiceover. And I thought, that's interesting. That video's probably gotten about 20 views, but I kind of thought, that's interesting. That was a new thing to see.
Sock Monster has one of those as well. Yeah. Here's what you do. You go to Google Alerts, and you set up an alert for Martin Tiller.
Okay.
And also you can set up alerts for like the names of your books too. And so what will happen is that every time a new website appears and is indexed by Google with those words that you choose, you'll get an email notification of it. And it originally started as like, oh, are people talking about AJ Cosmo? And it's like, oh, another book is pirated. And it's like, whatever. But yeah, Google Alerts, and so we've equivalent exchange. Like we're on. Like there we go.
I have not set up a Google alert yet. Maybe that's what I need to do, and maybe that'll change my opinion on the pirating stuff.
Like, my God, it's constant.
All right, man. I gotta head out. I gotta go check on a napping 5-year-old. But good to catch up with you. And now that it does look like for the time being that I'm going to be working from home. Hopefully we can do a little bit more of these. I wasn't able to do them because, I would work till 6, wouldn't get home till 6:30. So it just got to be a little bit more difficult over the last, year or so. But now that if I end up doing this full time, we can definitely try and get this going a little bit more regular, and maybe even invite some other people in, because these are always fun. And I tend to find that people respond. They might not respond on YouTube, but I've gotten comments on my email list, and even in Facebook occasionally that people will respond to these. So I think they're good.
I'll warn you, the more people present, the quieter I get. The more people trying to talk. I'm awful at parties. I'm just in a closet somewhere, just like hoping somebody will come and speak to me. Like,
what was it? There's a couple of there's one podcast of some guys that call themselves Sterling, and I'm drawing a blank on their names right now. Johnny Truitt. They've written a book called Fiction Unboxed and something else, but they have a weekly kind of their podcast. And they'll occasionally have they'll bring other people in and that kind of thing. That's something I've seen with other people do as well. But yeah, anyway, it was good to catch up with you. We will definitely do this again. And once I get the link back up on this, I will send it out to you so you can put it out on your Facebook and your social media, and we can get it out, man. I'm looking forward to the next book, man. And good luck with the TV show. I can't wait for that TV show to come out so that I can live vicariously through you and be like, hey, I know him.
It's on Amazon Prime. Nobody watches it.
Well, if you got a book, if you got a video on Amazon or on Netflix, I'd be like, I'm done. That's the peak. We're done. There's nothing else.
Let's think and grow rich, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. And looking forward to talking to you again. Okay, bye.